I am happy to bring on Isisara Bey, uh, who is with the March on Washington Film Festival. Did I do it right that time?
Isisara.
Isisara. Okay, Isisara. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Yeah, with the March on Washington Film Festival. But I also want to bring on Brenda Seiler because Brenda's going to take over from here. I'm going to sit back and listen and figure out what I can go see during the film festival. So Brenda, take it away.
Thank you, Denise, and welcome, my Isisara. You know, the previous
Thank
guest who was talking about sickle cell anemia, when she mentioned Sidney Poitier's movie, I said, my, that's a great segue into this
Yes.
segment with you, because we're going to be talking about the March on Washington Film Festival.
Yes.
Let's just get into, tell us about the origin of this film festival.
Well, the founder of the festival, who's named Robert Rabin, was inspired after the 50th anniversary of the march and his life in the civil rights movement and working in the South and clerking for a judge he saw the importance of understanding those stories, many of them from the era mistold or even untold. So he thought he'd start with some films to start telling those stories.
And it's the 10th anniversary. And with this 10th anniversary, you all are going to have a gala
Yes.
on the 28th and talk about the folks that are going to be honored this year.
Our theme is story, stage, and screen. And we want to highlight the African Americans of the last 100 years and how we've grown in film and on stage and theater. So our honorees reflect that. They are Irene Gandy, who's the first Black publicist on Broadway and now is also a play producer, and George C. Wolfe, who was a director both on stage and on screen. And they'll be receiving the March On Award, and our John Lewis Lifetime Legacy Award goes to Congresswoman Barbara Lee.
And the presenters, you've got some stellar presenters that are going to be involved with those honorees this next week.
Yes, indeed. Congressman Clyburn will present the Lewis Award to Congresswoman Lee, and Jeffrey Wright will present the award to George C. Wolfe, and Emilia Sosa, who is a costumer on Broadway, will present the award to Irene Gandy.
We got to give a shout out to Jeffrey Wright, our homeboy, our DC homeboy,
Oh,
who's coming.
DC homeboy, I didn't know that.
Yes, he's from the district. So we're so happy to have him back in town. Now that event, the gala is going to be at Union Market, Dock 5.
That is correct.
Then you've got some other in-person movies and panel discussions. Let's share that with our audience.
Sure. So our signature events start on Thursday, and that one is called the Mississippi Defenders. It's at Union Market, about the cadre of lawyers from around the country who went to Mississippi in the early 1960s to help fight civil rights cases. So we're going to compare what happened then, the issues then, and the strategies then with now. And we're happy to have among our panelists Rashad Robinson of Color of Change and Derry Johnson from the NAACP. So we'll see the film and we'll hear from them. And we also have a special musical performance by Miss Rutha Mae Harris, who is one of the original members of the Freedom Singers, with Bernice Johnson Reagan and Cordell Reagan and Charles Neblett, who traveled around the South singing at rallies. And she is still singing and going strong. So that's Thursday. Friday, we'll be taking a look at Acting While Black, the role of persons of African descent in the French cinema. You know, Oscars So White took place a couple of years ago here, and France, the same thing is happening. The actors and people behind the scenes have a lot to say about how they are represented in French cinema. And we'll follow that with an Afrobeats DJ party, and that's going to be at the Eaton Hotel in Northwest Washington. On Saturday is a day full of activities, especially geared towards young people. The True Colors Theater's next monologue competition will have some of their winners come to talk about how to do monologues around social justice issues. I'm very excited about that because these teen performers are powerful. And we'll also be looking at virtual reality and how that works in the social justice sphere. Up until this point, it's primarily been about gaming, but in the last year or two, it has really taken on a new role. And then on Sunday, we close with a concert from the musical American Prophet that closed recently at Arena Stage. Charles Randolph Wright, who also did Motown on Broadway, is the composer. And the two leads, Cornelia Smith and Crystalline Lloyd, will sing songs from that. And we'll end with State of the American Theater with the artistic directors of the Apollo, True Colors, Woolly Mammoth, Arena, and the new chair of the Theater Arts Department at Howard University. So that's going to be our story, stage, and screen.
I think it's important that our listeners know that you don't have to necessarily be there in person to enjoy everything, but there are going to be some wonderful films that participants can access virtually.
That is true. You know, since 2020, when we were forced to do everything online, we have developed quite a virtual audience. So our audience will be able to see some films like The Forgotten Story of Nearest Green. That's going to be Shevry Wright again, about the distiller, first Black American distiller, who taught Jack Daniel how to do what he does. We'll see the documentary on Maurice Hines and his career and life with his brother Gregory Hines. There's a choice of weapons about Gordon Parks, and a number of other great films will be showing. And you can see all of the films, and our live events will be streamed virtually for our audience that now is around the world.
And I just want to remind our viewers that go to marchonwashingtonfilmfestival.org in order to look at the entire menu. There are different types of passes that you can get depending on how much you want to see and engage in. And it starts
on the Spend What You Can pass.
And then the festival begins on the 28th of September and goes until October the 2nd.
On Sunday. Absolutely.
And I've already gone through.
Too.
Thank you. And I've already gone to the menu and picked out what I know I want to see. So I've already got those things marked off on my calendar. So I've been doing a lot of film festivals lately. So I am really excited about this one. I've participated in it in the past. I'm glad it's back in full effect, I like to say.
Yes.
And thank you so much for being with us today. We've been talking to Isisara Bey, who is the artistic director for the March on Washington Film Festival.
Yes.
Thank you so very much, and I'll hand it back over to Denise.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Brenda and Isisara. That is just a wonderful, wonderful lineup. So I'm really glad that you were able to join us today and to share this with our viewers. I know Brenda's going to have a good time. I'm going to try to get to what I can.
Please do.
I look forward to it. And whenever you're about to do again, is it normally the same time every year?
Yes, we do it in the fall every year.
Okay. All right. So that's wonderful. And I'm glad that you have, several venues around the city so folks can really participate, which I think is fantastic. So again, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All righty.
Where do you come to get all you